Good evening, everyone, and Happy New Year's to everyone. First New York Giants football talk show of 2026. Happy New Year to everybody. And as Giants fans, I think it's a nice start to the new year. Always, always a great start to any day, any night when I'm hanging out with my good friend, my brother from another, Mr. Paul Rosen. How are we doing this evening, Paul?
Good evening, Kenny. Happy New Year to you. Happy New Year to everybody that's tuning in tonight. I guess it's not too late to say it, maybe one more day and then we're on to 2026. But it's great to be here. The regular season is over. Playoffs are about to begin. Obviously, the New York Football Giants are not part of that, but we still have a great show tonight. We have a lot to get to, a lot of things to discuss. So I'm looking forward to a great show tonight.
First comment of 2026. I have the pleasure to announce that it's from our good friend Keith Brugman from the Denver Bronco
Pete,
Roundup Rocky Mountain
Happy
Sports
New Year.
Network, and also the show that I'll be hosting later on that I got with the Rocky Mountain Sports Network called The Juice. You could check me out and be with Jody tonight at 10 o'clock Eastern Time, 8 p.m. Mountain Time, talking all football, all about football. So come check us out on the Rocky Mountain Sports Network and hang out there. But Keith says, "Good evening, gents. Dart towards the future." And we're going to get into some good things that happened in 2025 in a few seconds. But it's the new year, Paul. And I want to know, and you want to know about a New Year's resolution and a twist, a New York Giants resolution. So would you like me to go first on New Year's resolution, or would you like to go first?
You go first.
Okay. Mine is simple. I want to eat healthier. I want to incorporate more fresh. I live by the Chesapeake Bay, and we have a lot of good fresh seafood: oysters, crabs, fish. I want to incorporate more. I'm not going to become a pescatarian, but I'm going to eat a lot more fresh seafood and a little less red meat in my diet going forward and eat healthier. And my goal is to join you for at least one 5K and maybe push towards a 10K towards the end of the summer into the year. So I'm going to start exercising for that, and that's my resolution for New Year's. Uh,
Wonderful.
give us your New Year's resolution, and then I'll get to a couple comments, some more hellos, and then we'll do our Giants resolution.
Okay. My resolution is to be a little more patient with people, but especially my wonderful, beautiful, amazing wife, Luby. Sometimes I get a little, shall I say, carried away a little bit, but, hey, that happens every once in a while. But overall, I want to be more patient. Don't get a little excited and carry that through for the year and moving forward in my life.
Yep. Well said. Well said. And great resolution there. And I know you'll succeed in that New Year's resolution. Let's get a couple hellos in. Our good friend Roy Osborne saying hello, Kenny and
Hey,
Paul.
Roy,
Happy New
Happy New
Year.
Year.
Happy New Year to you, Roy. He says kind of surprised that Harbaugh got fired. I know it's going to be the hot topic going into the show. So I'm going to hold off on the questions that the other people have, but I'm going to say hello to Jody uh, and Kurt. Jody and Kurt are there. We're going to do our Giants resolution, and then I'll get to their comments right after that, Paul.
Hey,
My New
Jody. Hey,
York
Kurt.
Giants
Happy New Year.
resolution is I'm not going to get upset at Joe Shane's still here. I'm not going to get upset on whoever the head coach is. I got to accept it. And I've seen coaches, we talked about it. Yes, small markets, but we've seen Liam Cohen succeed. Mike McDonald, first time head coach in his second year over there. With that being said, there are coaches out there that the Giants should go get. But I'm going to be patient and I'm going to be looking forward to 2026 being a complete turnaround. And my New York Giants resolution is I'm going to support this team one way or the other.
Great resolution. I like it. I really like it. That's excellent. My Giants resolution is this. There are rumors out there that when I watch a game, I tend to get a little, I don't know, crazy and a little loud and boisterous, especially when the Giants sometimes don't play well. So I'm going to make a Giants resolution that moving forward this year, while I watch the games, I'm going to try and be a little more in control, a lot less crazy, a lot less boisterous. I don't want to leave Luby as a widow. So that's my Giants resolution. Hopefully I can keep that, but we'll see.
And Luby saying, wonderful New Year's resolution from you, Paul. Thank you so much, my love. Thank you, Luby, for watching. I'm going to throw
Thank you,
a
Luby.
curveball out there because I think this one's going to be for Luby, though. We all know that show that used to be on New York Sports Radio, WFAN, for those who aren't familiar with New York Sports Radio, Mike and the Mad Dog. When I visited Paul and Luby in 2025, back in October, was it October or November? Jeez, I forgot.
It was
And
the
you did
very end
well.
of October, the
Every
beginning
end
of
of October.
November,
Yeah.
that weekend.
Yep. She wanted more excitement on the show. So when the time arises, I don't know if I'm going to be Mike or Mad Dog, but I think Paul will be the other one. That's our New York Giants football talk resolution. And she's saying, I wish you boys and your show wonderful New Year, lots of health and happiness and success. Thank you, Luby. Couple more
Thank you, my
comments.
love.
Well, great resolution. There have been talks. There's been talks about the Giants will interview Vance Joseph. I think it'll be a good hire. He's a Bronco fan, but
Who said that?
Roy likes Vance Joseph.
Roy
I think he's
Osborne
gonna be
said that.
He's got a chance to be a good coach somewhere. But let's get our hellos in. Carson, our good friend Carson Shear. Carson's
Hey,
doing great
Carson.
things with the
Happy
Detroit
New Year.
Pistons. Happy New Year, Carson. Go check out the Carson Shear show. Not only Detroit Pistons, but he does all sports. He'll do Michigan State. He'll do Red Wings, but he's doing play-by-play for Pistons. Go check him out. He does a great job on there, and I think he's got a future with the Pistons. If the Pistons know what they're doing, they're going to hire my friend Carson to be the play-by-play in the future. Good job, Carson. He's saying Dart and Neighbors next year and draft an O-lineman, ? Buy stock now. Have a good show, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us, Carson.
Thanks, Carson.
Appreciate you, and look forward to getting back on some future shows with you. Good friend Ernie Mays saying hello. Let's catch up with the
Hey,
comments
Ernie.
here. Ernie, hello, Kenny and Paul. Go Broncos. Big Bronco fan. Luby saying that's so cool, Kenny. I'm looking forward to the debates. Let's go. And now let's get to a couple comments from earlier. So Jody, Paul still hates the committee. Go Notre Dame. He wants to hire Kevin Stefanski if we were the Giants. And I said that.
Okay.
Yes, we're going to get into that. We're going to get into our agenda. Kurt, boys, Harbaugh is the only candidate. You give him whatever he wants. Pay him whatever. Give him whatever. Give him whatever GM he wants. Oh, and yeah, Super Bowl runs through Denver. Here we go, baby. We're getting the Bronco fans coming in, and rightfully so. They're the number one seed. Keith and
all of them. Hey, they have plenty to crow about.
Yeah, we got some Giant fans in here as well. So let's get into our agenda. We did our resolution.
Okay.
Let's get into the 2025 season, Paul. You want to go quick recap of the game on Sunday, and then you can take over because we're going to give the end of the year awards. Even though we were 4-13, we got some awards to give out.
Okay, so as of course, the New York Football Giants never treat their fans well. With everyone expecting them to lose the last two games, everyone knows they beat the Raiders. And a horrible beatdown. The Raiders definitely tanked, and obviously they fired Pete Carroll after only 1 year. And then the Giants come out and play their best game in weeks and weeks, and beat a Cowboy team that also didn't seem to have their full heart in it. And what can I say except, listen, we're not going to worry about the draft until we have to, but they closed the season 2 straight wins. I think Jackson Dart, and I know we've had plenty of discussions about him. Is he the franchise quarterback? But let me just say, and I think I speak for Kenny when I say this, Jackson Dart is our definitely franchise quarterback. This kid had a great game against the Cowboys. Then again, I think you, me, and Kurt could have played against the Cowboys defense and did well this year. But that all being said, Dart was phenomenal. He put up some really good statistics for 12 games, had a wonderful rookie year. I am ecstatic and stoked, looking forward to next year and what he can do with the full contingent on offense. Other guys I have to shout out for the game, Tyrone Tracy went over 1,000 yards. He had over 100 yards rushing, almost over 150 yards total offense from scrimmage on Sunday. Only the third player in Giants history, and the Giants have had an amazing number of great players in their first 2 years to have over 1,000 yards from scrimmage. The only other two, Odell Beckham Jr. and a guy by the name of Saquon Barkley. So for this kid to go over 1,000 yards his rookie year and his second year, 2 straight years back to back, over 1,000 yards from scrimmage, says something. And I think that sets up the Giants extremely well for next year. Scatterbull will come back. They will give him a very, very lethal and dangerous running back duo. The other guy I want to shout out, who had a great game on Sunday, Bobby Okereke, pending free agent. I think the Giants have to re-sign him. Had over 140 tackles this year, the only player in Giants history, and you know all the Giant defensive players in Giants history, to have over 140 tackles in one season twice. So this kid, they've got to bring him back. And the last guy I want to shout out, Wan'Dale Robinson, was out injured, and he had a great season, and we'll talk about him in a couple of minutes. Gunnar Olszewski, who generally is our punt returner and kickoff returner, had an outstanding game on Sunday as the slot receiver, 8 receptions, over 100 yards receiving. And if he put a little more oomph into it, he would have had a touchdown to Chris Manhurst, who was wide open on a end around. But that being said, the Giants played well. They closed the season with 2 big wins. And hopefully this will give them, along with a lot of changes, obviously, in the coaching department, to springboard into 2026.
Yeah, well said, Paul. I do want to just spend 30 seconds to add what you said for these podcasters, these hosts on TV shows, the media, the radio hosts, etc., writers. I want to call them all out who say meaningless game. Was it meaningless for Jackson Dart? Because if we go and lose to the Raiders and we go lose to the Cowboys, maybe these people like Colin Cowherd have a point in saying maybe we should draft Mendoza with the number 1 pick. Was it meaningless for Wan'Dale Robinson, who had 1,000 yards this year? I know he didn't play in the last game against Cowboys, but was it a meaningless game for him versus the Raiders to get over 1,000? Tyrone Tracy, like you just mentioned. How about Brian Burns with his all-pro season? Was it meaningless for him? How about the offensive line? And how about, like you said, you called out Tyrone Tracy and Bobby Okereke. Bobby Okereke, 2 interceptions in the last 2 games. Flashes of his first season with the Giants. Maybe we bring him back next year now. Was it meaningless for all of them? I don't care we got the number 5 pick in the draft. Things aren't going to change. We're going to get to it in a minute, but it's not meaningless. It was definitely meaningful for all of those players, and even more, the whole team. That was meaningful games for all of them, but most of all, Jackson Dart. Was it meaningless for Drake May last year? Look at him now this year, MVP candidate, and might get the MVP. So enough with the meaningless stuff. I love some of the podcasters I watch, but when they say meaningless, I am totally against them on that. Meaningful for all of these players on the New York Giants.
Well said, Kenny. And let me just say one more thing that proves to me that Jackson Dart is not only not a rookie anymore. He is a leader, and he'll be wearing, my prediction, he'll be wearing the C on his
Oh,
jersey
yeah.
come next year. Because what he said after the game is, this is never going to happen again moving forward. So that says to me, he is the franchise quarterback. He's a leader he's going to become, if not already, he's going to become a leader on this team, and he's going to lead this team back to respectability and become the one of the keystone franchises that this Giants franchise has been in league history.
Well said. Let's get a couple more hellos in. Our good friend Mark saying hello, fellow Giant
Hey,
fan.
Mark.
And our good friend David Burns out there from Cedar Hill, Texas. And he's saying,
Hey, David.
happy the Giants beat the Cowgirls.
Yep.
He's
Very
in
good.
Texas and with us with the Giants. I love it. Cowgirls are a comedy show to watch. And loved seeing Jerry at the end of a losing effort instead of going like this at the end of the Cowboy Giants games and shaking
Right.
everybody's hand. That's what you saw, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Meaningful game, not meaningless for those people that say meaningless.
Oh, by the way, the Cowboys fired Matt Eberflus today.
What a poor soul, man. I feel sorry for the guy. He loses Micah Parsons, and he was just a scapegoat. You know, he'll get another
Yeah.
job somewhere. I do think he's got a nice mind, defensive mind. He just had no talent over there, and he was the scapegoat, in my opinion. Let's move on, Paul. I think
All
anything
right.
else with the recap? I think we covered it.
That's it.
A little fired up now. I like it. Luby wanted
Yeah.
some fired up. She got
Yep.
it. Let's go. We got
All
some
right.
Giant honors. Hey, 4-13 team,
Yeah.
like you said. Got to give some awards out, so let's do it.
All right. So obviously, we're not the Denver Broncos. We didn't have the best record in the league, but hey, every team has to give out awards at the end of the year. So let's start off with the Giants MVP. And somebody might say the Giants had an MVP, but I think both you and I might agree on this. So who's your Giants MVP this year?
I think we're going to agree on a lot, but I could have went two ways here, but I'm going to go on the defensive side of the ball. I'm going to go with the All-Pro, Brian Burns. You know, look at the year he's had. Without him, where's this defense, as bad as it's been? But Spider-Man, 15 and a half sacks, you know, leading into the Cowboy game. He's been with us all year, healthy all year. And maybe relation to David over there, David Burns, but Brian Burns. I will go with him as my easy choice for MVP of this team and leader of this defense for
Yeah.
many years to come.
I totally agree. And I will say this, you know, I've criticized Joe Shane for a lot of moves and draft picks and stuff, but the one move that he did make was to acquire him in a draft day trade and a couple of years ago. And the fact that they have him and he has lived up or exceeded anything that the Giants even expected. So yeah, 100%.
With Burns. Oh, sorry, Paul.
I agree.
Burns.
All right. Our offensive player of the year. Who would you say is our offensive player of the year, Kenny?
I'm going to go Wan'Dale Robinson. Breakthrough season, 1,000 yards. Could easily be a Pro Bowl. When you look at some of the players that aren't going to go because they're in the Super Bowl or just opt out because of an injury here or there, or they don't go, Wan'Dale Robinson might be in the Pro Bowl this year. And breakout season heading into a contract year. Giants got some decisions to make. Is he going to be affordable for them? And I sure hope so because he fits the slot perfectly. But Wan'Dale Robinson with Jackson Dart, nice chemistry this year. I'll go Wan'Dale Robinson.
And I agree with you. And the other thing I want to add to that is if you realize, and I'm sure people do, Malik Neighbors really only played 3.5 games the whole year. So Wan'Dale Robinson, without having arguably one of the top 5 receivers on his side of the ball throughout the whole, basically the 3/4 of the season, still had the productive year that he had. So you got to give him credit, the kind of productivity that he had this year without Neighbors playing alongside and taking a lot of the defense toward him.
Yeah, Mark's with us with Robinson.
Okay, defensive player of the year, Kenny.
I'm gonna double up with Brian Burns. I can't go other. Who else do I want to throw in there? There's really no one else. Dexter had a little down year. I
Hmm.
can throw K to secondary, banged up, didn't play a full 17 games. So I gotta say Brian Burns. I gotta double up on Brian Burns here.
Yeah, 3 for 3. I totally agree with you. Um, I'll go first. Rookie of the year. I'll just make it an honorable mention. Two guys. Our first round pick, Abdul Carter. Very slow start. Some concerns, disciplinary, but he came on the last 4 or 5 games of the year and certainly established himself as upcoming. And I'll use the word star. I think you get a a defensive coordinator that's going to utilize him next year and watch this guy break out. Second guy, everybody, you know how much I loved him. I wanted the Giants to draft him. And when the Giants took Cam Scatterboo, I said, this kid's going to be a player. He turned out he was. He unfortunately had a very serious injury. But the good thing is he's coming back. They interviewed him after the season the other day. He said he's coming on strong. He should be back for OTAs and certainly for training camp next year. So Giants are going to have a really, really good offense with him and Tyrone Tracy in the backfield. But of course, who else should be rookie of the year but our franchise quarterback rookie, Jackson Dart? Again, I wanted this kid to be drafted by the Giants. They took him, and between a couple of concussion concerns, this kid had some solid rookie year. He showed he could play. He showed he could be a leader, as I said earlier. And the fact that the players supported him, understood that this guy is going to lead them, and he did everything the Giants expected. I think he's going to be able to play for any coach and succeed. And I'm so excited that this kid is going to be our quarterback of the future.
Yeah, for me, I got to go Dart. I'm not going to throw any honorable mentions in. Dart's going to be my rookie of the year. The other rookies had great years, but Dart didn't start off slow. That's the difference. Dart came in first game, week 4, Chargers, got the victory. What else did Dart do this year? He didn't get many wins, but he beat the Eagles. And then he beat the Cowboys. I don't care if it was a 52-man roster off the streets. You beat the Cowboys. So for those reasons alone, he gets my rookie of the year nod. But some of the electric plays and the games we should have won if it wasn't for our defense wasn't his fault. We lost a lot of these games. And, maybe you could say the Saints game, our offense didn't play good. But other than that, Dart had this team winning in the fourth quarter. And it was just fourth quarter collapses by the defense run by Shane Bowen at the time. So once Shane Bowen got fired, we saw some improvements. And hats off to Charlie Bowen. Maybe he'll get a job somewhere down the line, but he did a nice job with the defense the last few weeks. But Jackson Dart, clear rookie of the year. And if he didn't get hurt maybe those 1 or 2 games, he might be the NFL's rookie of the year. He's second to Ted McMillan in the odds, but I think it's going to go to the Carolina receiver.
Yeah, especially they made the playoffs as well.
Yeah.
2 more awards. The Giants Play of the Year. Not that they had so many great plays, believe me, but there were a couple of highlights. So give me your Play of the Year,
Got a
Eddie
couple that
Patrick.
I might be forgetting one, so this one we may be different, but in a losing game, believe it or not, a guy who was hurt and a guy who got benched, that Russell Wilson moon ball to Malik Neighbors with Dallas, where he caught that touchdown and we should have won, but our idiot coordinator at the time goes into prevent defense. That should have been the play of the year. If the Giants win that game, that's probably mentioned as the play of the year. But another one that
Nice.
comes to mind, and I know you probably got something different, Cam Scatterboo's first Angry Run Award that he got from the guy on Good Morning Football. I can't think of his name.
Yeah.
But He handed him the scepter in that angry run, and oh man, he was just knocking linebackers over and
That's
a
true.
battering Rams. So those are my two, and I know I'm missing a big one, but I'm going to
All
let you
right.
take credit for it.
I have two. The first one you'll remember as soon as I say it. Giants were in Detroit, and of course that was one of the games that Jackson Dart missed because he was in concussion protocol, and Jameis Winston was the quarterback,
Yeah, yeah.
and he flipped the ball on a flea flicker to Gunnar Olszewski, and Dart went out and caught a pass. And
Winston.
well, I'm sorry, Dart. I meant Jameis Winston. Thank you. And caught a pass and got past the Lion defensive back and scored a touchdown. And we hadn't seen a play like that, especially a quarterback catching a pass like that. It's not like the Philly special. So for a Giants quarterback, Jameis Winston, I think that was his first reception in 11 years as a professional football player. So that was my play of the year. The second play was actually Sunday, where Dart eluded a defensive blitz by the Cowboys and sort of did a Patrick Mahomes impersonation and sort of flipped the ball sideways to Daniel Bellinger on a 3rd and 15 play. And not only did the ball get completed, the pass get completed, but Bellinger eluded about 4 or 5 Cowboys and ran it in for a touchdown. So for me, those were two of the bigger plays of the year.
Yep. Well said. And I
And
knew you would have the two that I left out.
no, and those two that you had were great. I totally forgot those two, but absolutely. And I guess the last award would be the most improved player. I have 3 players on my list, but who would be your most improved player on the team this year?
I did too, and I think this might be the one we have different. I got an offensive guy and a defensive guy. Offense, I'm
Okay.
going with our good friend Mark Calderio's boy. By the way, let's say hello to Patrick. Patrick's on here on my feed saying
Patrick,
aloha boys. Aloha boys. Lion
Happy New
Coffee
Year.
out there in Hawaii. Great stuff. Congrats to your Broncos, Patrick. I know you'll be looking forward to watching a game, early in the daytime over there in Hawaii, but uh, don't matter when it is. I know you'll be watching. And Eddie Murphy saying, hello, gentlemen. Winston has more
Edward.
touchdown catches than Jalen Hyatt. He trails Hyatt by 1 receiving yard. LOL. Terrible. Terrible. But my two, offense, Mark Calderio's boy, Theo Johnson. Year 1, rookie, the quarterback situation, it affected everybody last year, the quarterback situation that we had. And Theo Johnson came in as a rookie, did okay, nothing spectacular. This year, he took a leap, and he proved to me we don't have to go look for a tight end. He can be our starting tight end going forward. Is he going to be the number 1 tight end in the league? No. But he could be top 10, top 15. So I'm okay with that. And I think that's a big improvement from last year for him. And on the defensive side of the ball, a guy that I ridiculed for off the team, I gotta admit when I'm wrong, and and I kind of hope the Giants bring him back next year, Mr. Cordell Flott. Mr. Cordell Flott, if you told me to pick one, this would be the guy, but I wanted to go offense and defense. Cordell Flott, in the battle with Deontay Banks, who was the number 1 draft pick, who I backed up, and he really took a downfall. And maybe, hopefully, maybe with this punt return, maybe we found him, maybe he's a kick returner. Maybe we use him on special teams. You never know. But Cordell Flott stepped up, became the number 2 corner. I hope we bring him back next year with a new defensive coordinator. I think he can continue to be good. Is he going to be a number 1 corner? No, but you don't need a number 1 corner. You need a number 2 corner. And that's what I think he can be with Drew Phillips and Paulson Adebo. I think our secondary would be solid next year. So Cordell Flott gets my most improved on defense and my most improved if I was picking one.
I had both those guys. I had 3. Both those guys were 2 and 3 in that order, like you just indicated. But I went back to a guy who I think took his game to another level, and that was Wandale Robinson. I think he was very good before he got injured, and then it took a while for him to recover. But this year, I think he elevated his game to that next level to be one of the top, especially at his size, to be one of the top receivers in the NFL. And not only were they using him on those short routes, but as we saw in some of the games, he was catching deep passes, deep touchdowns, and I mean that's what he was doing at Kentucky. And for some reason, the first couple of years, the Giants did not utilize his ability to go deep, and I think he showed that this year. Became an all round receiver, and I think he elevated his game. So, like you, I had Theo Johnson up there and Cordell Flott. So those were my three most improved Giants for 2025.
Mark on Theo Johnson, he needs to catch some that they throw to him, some balls that are thrown to him, he drops.
Agree, Mark.
Mark Eddie Murphy, Bellinger most improved on offense in his opinion. It's a good one. And he's saying Deonte Banks got selected for a random drug test after that kick return.
Yeah, heard that
And
also.
he's saying Adebo and Holland in the secondary have not lived up to the hype.
No,
Debo was hurt. Holland was hurt. They need to, again, in a bad year, not many good things happen. That's why we're 4-13. Coordinator was a big reason. I've seen improvement with the last few weeks. Once we got rid of Bowen, I've seen improvements. I think we're going to see even more improvements next year with a new defensive coordinator and a new coaching staff. So that being said, Paul, anything else on the awards? We're about at the 30-minute mark, so we're good.
Let's
Eddie
turn
saying
the
we didn't have
page
an O-line for Wandale to get deep enough for a pass in his first couple seasons.
yeah, that's a good point. Very good point.
Real quick, I know this will be a topic for upcoming weeks, but on our list here, Joe Shane staying, being retained. I know there's a lot of people that are really upset about it, but we looked at it. I looked at it months ago. You looked at it the same way. Our owner is fighting cancer, and you've been a cancer survivor yourself, Paul, for many times, and we're praying for John every day. And does he want to take on that role of hiring a GM when there's a lot of responsibility? You got to hire a GM, then the new GM's got to hire the coach, and the coach down the line. Take care of yourself, John. That's the most important. Let Joe Shane, give him a chance now. We got some names coming up, big names. You've shown me you can draft. Not only last year, but we mentioned Wandale Robinson's breakout year. We mentioned Theo Johnson coming through now. Those are two guys, and Tyrone Tracy. Those are three guys from 2 years ago. And Malik Neighbors in that draft. So 2 years of good drafts. Brian Burns, offensive line, much improved. He's doing some good things. I'm not going to say he's doing a lot of good things, because the bad, definitely the coaching staff was terrible. It was a frat party that he was running there, Dable. And he was rather be friends with everybody, like you said, and you showed me in a text, than your coach. It was buddy. That's over with. Now Joe Shane's got to find a completely different coach, and I think we got some excitement coming, but I think that's why he's here. And I think he gets a chance because this team is drafting good on both sides of the ball. He's got to do better in free agency because there's been some busts. But I think he's doing good with the drafts, and I think we're picking again high. Helps him where he picked good last year with a high draft pick. He can pick again with this draft order that he has. So I think that's why he stays. And, let's give him, I said it, my resolution. I'm going to back him up. I'm going to support him. Let's go get that coach, Joe, that we want. And we're going to talk about it in a couple minutes. What are your thoughts on him staying, Paul?
Yeah, I mean, listen, a famous coach that we all know once said you are what your record says you are. And in the last 4 years, they're 22, 45, and 1. The last 2 years, they're 7 and 27. The record speaks for itself. And by the way, that was Bill Parcells who once said that. But as you eloquently just said about John, he's sick. I don't know if you guys saw the video that went around after the Giants win. They gave him a game ball, and if you happen to see a glimpse of John, I understand what he's going through. And the fact of the matter is that, as you said, Kenny, he can't take on anything more than what he's fighting with right now. So I understand that. I understand he doesn't want to bring in somebody new in the organization and have everybody now have to assimilate to someone new. So you keep the guy on that's been in the house the last 4 years. Hopefully, and we'll get into the aspect of the coaching candidates in a couple of minutes, that he does the right thing for the organization. And I know I've read quotes that he said they're going to cast a wide net, no rock unturned, so to speak. They're going to look at offense, defense, whatever it is. So I just hope there aren't the "I'm your buddy, I worked with you last year, I worked with you 5 years ago" kind of thing. I work with you in another team. I hope he's open to bring in someone that's for the betterment of the Giant organization, because right now that's what they need.
Yes.
A true leader.
Absolutely. 100% agree. I want to say hello to our good friend Richie Katwika. He's saying
Hey,
he's a
Ricky.
big Patriots fan coming in here. And
Oh.
he's Kurt's old baseball coach. And he's saying, Kurt, the only team scares him is the Houston defense. In the playoffs is Houston and that defense. And he thinks it's an even playing field against the Broncos. So we'll see.
Interesting.
We'll see for sure. Eddie's got a good question. And I'll answer it first, and then I'll let you
Okay.
take a crack at it. He wants to know if this defensive coordinator, Charlie Bullen, gets a shot at coming back. I'm not 100% against it, but I think there's better names out there, Eddie. I could see him coming back as part of the staff. I could see somebody keeping him as an assistant. Hey, you want to stay, Charlie? You could be an assistant to whoever we bring in, whoever it is, a defensive mind. You could be under him and get some more tutelage. You did a good job the last couple of weeks. We respected that. I respected that. The new coach comes in, says, "You want to be one of the assistants?" I think Charlie Bullen takes that job. So I could see that, Paul. How about you?
Yeah, I read today that the Giants will give Mike Kafka an interview for head coach. Does that mean they will hire him? Probably not. But if they want to interview Charlie, you can clearly see the difference in the way the defense played after they let go of Shane Bowen and he took over. I think there's a respect by the players for him. I think he did a decent job. I don't think he was ever a defensive coordinator in his football career. So for the short term that he was able to have the Giants defense play hard and essentially be in a lot of the games, give him credit for that. Whether that determines him to come back as the defensive coordinator, certainly that has to be a decision you allow whoever they bring in as head coach to make for his staff.
Yep. Eddie's saying if Harbaugh wants to sit out a year, you sign Kafka for the year and bring Harbaugh in next year. LOL. I hope you're joking there. I really hope that laughing out loud is a joke. He's saying better names, yeah, but defense stats went down when he took over. It's true. Like I said, I think I bring him in as an assistant because I don't know if I want to give him more experience. He's only had a couple games experience, but let's say hello to Scoop Woodhams. Ryan Scoops is saying hello. Happy New Year. Busy
Happy
week
New
in
Year.
New York Giant land. In his earlier segment on his show, he mentioned Pierce and Josephs were Giants candidates, but with Harbaugh available, he has to be the top dog in the race now. go check out Scoop and his friends on Thursday night. What's the Scoop? A part of the K&K Sports Show Network. I believe he goes on at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Correct me if I'm wrong with the time, Scoops, but you and your friends, playoff season's coming around. I'm sure you'll be covering that. Uh, he is joking. You better be. I was about to block you from the show if you were serious there, Dad. I'm kidding. I love having you here, and you're always welcome. Anything else, Joe Shane? I just wanted to get that out of the way quick, Paul.
No.
Here's our main topic of the night. In our thumbnail, we said the Giants had 5 good things happen to them in 2025, this past year. Going to go from 5 to 1, Paul. We ranked them. And
Yeah.
this is the one that we didn't blind rank. We went over this with each other. But why don't you tell us who we got at number 5, and then I'll just add anything to it.
Okay. At 5, we've talked about him a few times already this evening. Wan'Dale Robinson's breakout season. Like we said, had over 90 receptions, had over 1,000 yards for the first time. A big milestone for Wan'Dale. And again, as we said, without Malik Neighbors working alongside of him and with the revolving 3 different quarterbacks. So great season for Wan'Dale. And that's number 5.
Absolutely, Paul. Eddie's saying about Antonio Pierce is a good comment. I don't want Antonio Pierce to be head coach because if he fails, that's what he'll be remembered for. And I want to remember him for being a great Giant. Don't count Antonio Pierce out for defensive coordinator, though. That could be a very big play, depending on who we bring in as head coach. Yeah, Wan'Dale Robinson, the reason why we have him at number 5 is because he's a free agent. We don't know if he's going to be back next year. And when you talk about, 5 good things, there's 4 more that in our opinions that were better. And number 4, we got our all-pro guy, Brian Burns, at number 4, Paul. A breakout season for him, sure. I knew he was going to be good. I didn't think he was going to be this good. And take away Myles Garrett's record-breaking season, you might be talking about Brian Burns as the best defensive edge rusher in football, maybe the best defensive player in football this year. So
Agree.
And he's with us under contract, and he's going to be leading that defense with and being a mentor and a leader to Abdul Carter and the other young guys on this team on the defensive side of the ball. So very excited. Brian Burns comes in at number 4 on our list.
Agree. Number 3, you have to look at the draft class. We got to give Joe Shane credit. This is where the rubber met the road. And even if nobody else was good, the fact that we got our franchise quarterback in Jackson Dart, I would give this draft class an A. But Carter came on at the end of the year. Cam Scatterboo, we also talked about. Darius Alexander started making some plays toward the end of the year. Marcus Bowe played the last couple of games. Those 5 rookies that had some sort of impact on the Giants season this year. So, as I said, if nobody else did anything except Jackson Dart, bad enough. Finding your franchise quarterback would have given this draft class an A, in my opinion.
Agree. Couple comments. Tracy, back-to-back 1,000 seasons is one of the top stories for 2025.
Agreed.
And Eddie's saying he'd see Shane thinking Gunnar Olszewski can replace Wan'Dale Robinson, and Marcus Bowe he's mentioning. But for those who don't know, Paul intercepted Joe Shane's microphone, headset, and phones, tapped his phones. And Paul was the one actually making the calls for the draft because Paul wanted Abdul Carter, Paul wanted Jackson Dart, Paul wanted Cam Scatterboo in this draft. So I think Paul was actually making the calls for the draft picks and not and held Joe Shane hostage and locked up in a closet somewhere. I think Paul was making those picks. But
beginner's luck, Kenny. But thank you. But beginner's luck.
All joking aside, draft class for sure. Marcus Bowe. I don't worry about sixth and seventh round picks, but when you got a fifth round pick that looks like he can be at the very least a swing offensive lineman and backup because he's come in meaningful situations this year and played different positions. Last week of the season, he played left tackle, so he's done a good job. He's also played guard. I think that was a great find. Of course, Scatterboo. Darius Alexander's got to, do a little better. I think we've seen him come on a little bit towards the end. I think he'll be fine. And then, of course, Jackson Dart and Abdul Carter. So draft classes at A, like you said. Want to hit Scoop's got a question. He said 7 p.m. is his showtime. He wants to ask the Giant fans a question. Steve Spagnuolo is showing up as a candidate for head coaching jobs. Is it time for him to get another chance, Paul?
Oh, absolutely. And I think he will. He will absolutely be hired by some team this year. I think, especially with Kansas City not making the playoffs for the first time in the last 50 years. But I think maybe Andy Reid now starts to reevaluating his coaching staff. Maybe Steve Spagnuolo, this is the time to separate. They've made their run. Give him an opportunity to be a head coach again. And I think I'm going to make a prediction that I think he will get an opportunity by some team this year.
Maybe. There's a lot of names that are coming out, and a lot of these teams want offensive minds, but I think the Browns might be in play. If the Browns are smart, they go get a defensive coach and a young offensive mind, and run with their defense and get an offensive coordinator that can, control Shador Sanders. I think you'll be fine over there. So I think that's where he may go. And he's also saying Kafka, I hope, gets a head coaching job one day. He was the former Eagles quarterback. He followed him as a kid. Plus, the bench quarterback to head coach pipeline sometimes equals catcher to manager equivalent in terms of NFL success. Doug Peterson comes to mind, so I get what he's saying. I get what you're saying there. Definitely not with the Giants. I could see Kafka getting, a job maybe in another 3 to 5 years if he finds an offensive coordinator job somewhere. But we got number 2 and number 1, Paul.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2. Firing of Brian Dable and some of this coaching staff. Shane Bowen, Brian Cox, Brian Dable leading that. Brian Dable got himself fired because of all these fourth quarter collapses. Shane Bowen got himself fired because of those he was the reason for those fourth quarter collapses. Brian Dable never corrected Shane Bowen and said, get aggressive, don't go in prevent defense. You learn from your mistakes unless you're Brian Dable and Shane Bowen. They both got fired, and now we're looking for a new coach, and there's some big names out there, and we're going to have a defensive coordinator. We saw with a Charlie Bowen, who had no experience, and we're talking about how well the defense did with him. Imagine bringing in a well-respected defensive mind with this defense and where we can go in 2026.
I agree. We've talked about it. He had to go. The recent comments from some of the Giant players that they're looking for a new coach, and we'll get into that in a couple of seconds. Someone who's more of a disciplinarian, which says to me it was a country club atmosphere the way Brian Dable was running the team. Well, you know what? NFL players, you can't be buddy with them. You have to be disciplinarian. You have to be you're the leader, you're the head coach, and you have to prove you're not at this level with them. You're this level. And I'm sorry to say that that's the way it has to be. The great coaches in the past have run their teams like that. And unfortunately, I think Dable did not understand fully. You've got to treat everyone the same way. And there were times of, obviously, he was treating people differently, and it didn't work. And we saw the results of what was going on with this team.
One player, Darius Slayton, say they need Coughlin type of coach from Eddie Murphy. So, yeah, well said. Well said.
Yep.
I'm going to give it to you for our number one. He is your guy, and he is definitely number one on our list of great things that five good things that happened to the Giants in 2025.
Listen, in the NFL, it all starts with that guy behind center, the quarterback. And, we thought we had a franchise quarterback after Eli left, and we didn't. And we finally drafted the guy that we thought could be it. And I think he proved. Jackson Dart is our number one great thing, big thing, good thing, whatever you want to call it, that happened to the Giants in 2025. I mean, look at their in stadium rivals, the Jets. The Jets are still looking for that quarterback to lead that team. And the one thing I can say about, in my opinion, that's why I think this Giant coaching opportunity, it may be the best one out of anyone in the league that has coaching openings right now because of this kid. And I think he'll attract big name coach, he'll attract big name free agents. And let's face it, you bring the New York Giant franchise back, there's no better place. I'm sorry. No better place to be a big name. So Jackson Dart is our number one big thing, good thing that happened to the New York Giants this year. And hopefully, as we've said throughout the whole show, he leads us into the future and hopefully back into the playoffs and bring respectability and having a relevance that the Giants haven't had in a long time.
Eddie goes, Eddie say the Jets, first team ever to go a whole season without an interception. Can you imagine that? And as
I
bad
heard
as
that.
it's been for the Giants, it seems to always be worse for the Jets. It's just it's that couple just as Sunday we're talking about possibly the number one pick, but we go and beat the Cowboys. We win two in a row, and we build some momentum to 2026. The Jets
Hmm.
getting blown out by Mitchell Trubisky, 22. I think he had 4 touchdowns in that game. Mitchell Trubisky,
Something like that. Yeah.
29 to 35 to 8 or something like that. You lose to Mitchell
Yeah.
Trubisky. So it's things are at least on the rise for the Giants. For the Jets, I don't. Jets will have the bad luck where the quarterback from Oregon decides to stay put, and they'll go into the season with
Kenny, I
Justin
know we
Fields.
we're sort of running behind time, but let me just say this. I just read something before we came on the show. Todd McShay said there are some players that don't even from college that don't even want to be considered at that number 2 pick by the Jets. And Dante Moore's agents have sort of sent out the feelers that if the Jets are considering taking him, they may convince him to stay in college and take his NIL money and stay in for another year so the Jets don't draft him.
Yeah, I mean, be careful though what you wish for because you don't want to see him get hurt in college, and if he's the
Yeah.
number two, when you're the number two projected pick in the NFL, are you gonna go? Can you? How much higher can you go? One pick. So, I don't know. I think I come out and I take my chances with the Jets. But man, oh man. But I just want to our five good things that happened to the Giants in 2025. I think we nailed it. I think we did a good job with it, and look forward to some of these things improving in 2026 and some of these things staying on this list. So. Well done, Paul. I got a couple more. We've got a little bit of time left. We can go a couple minutes over.
Okay.
The next one is we're going to talk about the coach, the head coach. And Black Monday passed, and there was a big name firing yesterday. I say big name, not a huge name, but some jobs opened yesterday. And the biggest name out of that group was Kevin Stefanski with Cleveland. And then today, just before we went on the air, the huge news came out that John Harbaugh was released of his duties in Baltimore. We planned on coming on tonight's show with a fun debate on Kevin Stefanski. I was like, yes, I would accept Kevin Stefanski. And Paul was like, no, hard pass. But I said also in that little text when Paul and I were texting back and forth, If John Harbaugh becomes available, that puts everything else aside. So I'm putting Kevin Stefanski talk aside, Paul, because John Harbaugh's available. And what does that mean for the Giants? Paul Kurt alluded to it at the beginning of the show, but you tell us what that means for the Giants getting
Well, I'll
with John
use
Harbaugh available.
I'll use the phrase that if you guys know who Brian Bollinger is, he's a former offensive lineman. He's a commentator. He's very astute in terms of football knowledge. If you ever see him on some of the football shows, Brian Bollinger, they asked him about John Harbaugh, and he said, if I'm a NFL team, I'm getting that Learjet and I'm sending it down to Baltimore and I'm getting him on the jet and getting him into my stadium and not letting him go until he signs a contract. And though truer words could be spoken, we have debated, Kenny and I and others, about who the Giants coaches. We came up with our list a few weeks ago. Some of you guys might remember we had our top 5. Both of us had John Harbaugh on the list as a possible coach if, in fact, he did get relieved of his duties. And this was when Baltimore still had an opportunity to make the playoffs. Well, now that the reality has hit home, there is no question both Kenny and I think 1,000,001 Giant fans want this guy if, in fact, he's thinking of continuing to coach. What better pedigree does anybody have out there other than, say, Bill Belichick decided to quit tomorrow at the University of North Carolina and become a candidate for a head coach? In 18 years, I think my memory is going, but in 18 years, Super Bowl championship, has been to a couple of Super Bowls, 12 times. They made it into the playoffs, I think 4 or 5 championship games. If this isn't a Tom Coughlin-esque coach who has been there, done it, respected throughout the league, the Harbaugh name is respected in the football world. I mean, Kenny, what else do we want for a coach to come in and be accountable and respected and have that panache in a New York environment than John Harbaugh? You tell me.
Absolutely. Let's say hello to a new face, I believe a new face on YouTube. Karen saying, I think we're going to wait to make the right decision, which they need to do. Thank you for hanging out with us, Karen.
Hi, Karen. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, and welcome to the show. I understand what Karen's saying, and we do have to interview. There's going to be a bunch of names interviewed. But when I look at it, Karen and Paul and everybody in the audience, a name like John Harbaugh comes out. My selling point to him is like, John, we want you here. Yada yada yada. We got the quarterback for you. We got a defense we're building. We got we got playmakers. Our other NFC teams, don't you want to face your brother and a chance to face him in the Super Bowl again and get revenge? Do you think you're going to get that revenge with the Cardinals when they need a quarterback because they're going to probably move on from Kyler Murray and Jacoby Brissett's going to be your selling point? How about the Falcons? And me and you backed Michael Penix, but he hasn't been good over there. And they traded their first-round pick this year for Michael Penix. So you're going to go into Atlanta, John Harbaugh, and coach the Falcons? I don't think so. I don't think he's going to want to go there. And then the AFC teams. Browns, maybe he wants to get revenge on the Ravens, but I don't think the Browns are close to being anywhere near the playoffs yet. They got a young team, yes. Maybe they found Shedeur Sanders, but I don't believe in Shedeur Sanders just yet. Tennessee Titans, they're in rebuild mode. Does he going to want to complete rebuild a team with no playmakers? Maybe their quarterback. How about the Raiders? You got the number 1 pick there, maybe Tom Brady, but they just failed with Pete Carroll. So I think they're going to go young at head coach. That leaves me, the Giants. It's a no-brainer. Joe Shane, it's the easiest decision you'll ever have to make as a general manager. Interview him, take him out to Peter Luger's in New York City for a nice tomahawk steak, have dinner, enjoy some laughs, and then say, "Hey, we're going to get to the Super Bowl against your brother in 2 years, and you're going to get the revenge that you've been wanting to get on your brother, and you're going to get your Super Bowl with us as New York Giants. Make it happen, Joe. Bring in John Harbaugh, and let's go 2026, Paul."
Couldn't have said it any better, Kenny. You made all great points. Listen, until, like I said, another coach with the pedigree comes out, there is no better coach right now that the Giants could look to bring in to bring this rocky ship to a stable position and build from here, because you have a guy that developed a quarterback, Lamar Jackson. You have a guy who had a great defense, who knew how to implement a defense that on all three levels played extremely well. You had a guy who, needless to say, was a special teams coach. So if there was one area the Giants can use rebuild is special teams, and you and I have seen it. Eddie and all the other Giant fans have seen how bad our special teams have been. So this to me is a no-brainer. You do your due diligence. You bring in your Vance Josephs. You bring in Stefanski. You bring in other types of coaches who have been rumored. No problem. But you bring in a guy. We've talked about this, Kenny. I think we both have agreed. You need to bring in an established long-term coach that's been a winner, that's won Super Bowls or Super Bowl, who knows how to bring a team into the playoffs and bring respectability back to this franchise. And I'll throw in one more thing. I was reading about this, and they talk about who could they bring in? Should they bring in a coach who's like a quarterback whisperer, a Cliff Kingsbury type? There's a guy in college that actually, if I bring in John Harbaugh, this would be my recommendation. Jackson Dart worked with him for a few years. I know he elected to go to another college with Lane Kiffin, but I mentioned his name a while back. That was with Bill Belichick, where I thought they go get Bill Belichick, and his daddy worked for him, Bill Belichick. I would bring in Charlie Weiss Jr., who worked as the coach, quarterback coach, and OC with Jackson Dart at Ole Miss. You bring in him, elevate him from college. I would be shocked if they made him an offer that he would stay in college with Lane Kiffin at LSU. You made him an offer, he would be on the next plane to New York. Charlie Weiss, his daddy, had a long tie-in with the New York Football Giants, knows the Maras well. He would jump at the opportunity to coach Jackson Dart in New York. That's who I would bring in as offensive coordinator. But we're going far beyond where we should be on talking about coaches today. But getting back, Kenny, get this guy in the house, do your due diligence, but make sure he doesn't go to some of those other teams that you said, because clearly the Giants are the best opportunity for someone like him and vice versa.
I want to say hello to Sharon. She's saying hello, Kenny and Paul. Came in late.
Hey, Sharon. Happy New Year.
Hi. Let's go Bills, big Bill fan. And Happy New Year to you and your family, Sharon. Hope all is going well, and happy and healthy 2026 to you and your family. Kurt's got a question. We'll go another 5 or so minutes, Kurt. But Paul, Karen, I want to get her comment in. She says, we need a stable coach who knows how to coach with toughness and no slacking for the team. and for respect for one another, helping one another. Couldn't have said it any better, Karen.
Hmm.
Kurt
Perfectly
saying
said.
Charlie Weiss Jr. is going home Thursday night. I hope so, Kurt, as a Miami Hurricane fan. And he said Joe Shane's not taking anyone out. He said, I got to get this comment because it's funny. Joe Shane isn't taking anyone out. When Harbaugh says he wants his own GM, game over. But he wants to know who's Harbaugh's defensive coordinator, meaning who would we want with him? Can I go first?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to throw two quick names out there. One, you're going to laugh. It's the defensive coordinator, excellent defensive coordinator, terrible head coach. Just got fired. Jonathan Gannon over in Arizona. Knows Philadelphia, knows Dallas, and knows Washington. Bring him in, knows their strengths, knows their weaknesses, and he was one of the big reasons Philadelphia went to the Super Bowl that year and won the Super Bowl. My second one is a bigger name, and Kurt's going to like this one. He's on ESPN every once in a while. Bring in Rex Ryan. You want to get a little fired up and a little defense and aggressive? Not a head coach, but on that defensive side of the ball, he'll run things with John Harbaugh, and really get things crazy over there in New York. Let's go. Kurt's saying before you go, Paul, you need adults. Harbaugh and get veteran offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. No more build a bear. You need no more BS. Win now.
Yep. Agree. I'm going to give you a wild card. I don't know what happened, but presently where he's situated, there's craziness. Why not bring back Wink Martindale as your defensive coordinator? I don't know what happened in
If it went
Baltimore.
bad with Shane, that's probably out. But if it went bad with just Dable, it's possible.
Right. But the fact is that you bring in Wink Martindale, who coached with Harbaugh in Baltimore. Okay, how great would he be with the players that they have now on defense?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Gannon is a very good choice. I think that's excellent. I like that. I think he would be the fact that he knows the East is wonderful. Really, really good. But just throw a name like Martindale, given what Michigan is going through right now.
Karen's on board. Yes, Wink. Love it. Kurt saying, I heard this tonight. They said already one team with the head coach has reached out to Harbaugh. They suggested either the Jets or Dolphins. Thoughts? My
I could
thoughts
see the
are if I'm John, I'm saying maybe I'll go on a little vacation to Miami, but there's no chance I'm going there for a whole year. or most. I'm not going to either. And the Jets are just a disaster. I would not
I think
go to the Jets.
I think there's a lot of pressure on Woody Johnson right now. He is feeling it. And would it shock me if they got rid of Aaron Glenn after 1 year? I don't think it would shock me at all. They're saying he might be in over his head. So, yeah.
I'm going to give you my wild card, and then we'll get some final thoughts in, Paul. Oh, we want to do one more thing, the draft pick. We'll do that really quick. But my final thoughts on this head coach wild card. If we talked about this is not head coach, this is wild card defensive coordinator. If, and it's a big if because he hasn't been fired yet, but he hasn't met with the team ownership yet. Todd Bowles gets fired. That's a name to watch out for defensive coordinator. He's a huge reason why the Buccaneers won the Super Bowl that year versus and stopped Mahomes. And I think he's a great defensive mind. I would welcome him back as defensive coordinator if he gets released by the Buccaneers.
Not a bad idea. Yeah, I can see that. I can definitely see that as a possibility if in fact that should occur. So
Kurt's saying he heard Harbaugh $20 million. I would start a GoFundMe to bring him in for $20 million if the Giants have questions on money. You bring in this guy at all costs. I give him 5 years easily. Let him coach maybe give him a 7-year deal. Give him till he's 70. I think he's 63.
Kenny, I would give him an open-ended contract and say, just sign, and however long you want to coach this team, you got it.
We talked about the offense. Lamar Jackson, mobile quarterback, running that style quarterback. Jackson Dart. Talked about the defense, always being good with the Ravens. Always had a good defense. Always brought in a good coordinator. Defense is going to be good. But how about the special teams? He was a special teams coach that got a head coaching job and has never looked back. He will specialize, prioritize special teams. Justin Tucker for all them years kicking field goals. You ain't gonna have Judd McAtinney's and Young Wei Koo's missing the football, Charlie Brown style. We ain't gonna have that. Keith wants to know thoughts on Todd Monken, offensive coordinator, Ravens. John brings in whoever he wants. I'm not going to be against it.
Right. Yeah, listen, he's made his mark in the NFL, well respected. If he feels he can bring the offense that they were running in Baltimore, like you just mentioned, a running quarterback. I know Kurt is cringing when I say this with Lamar Jackson, but clearly some of the types of plays that the Ravens ran, I'm sure they would utilize a guy like Jackson Dart. So I'm not saying no to Todd Monken at first blush, but let's see. Let's see what happens.
Let's do this real quick, Paul. I say real quick. Let's take a couple minutes on it. Last one of the night. We now know where we're picking officially in the NFL draft, and that's pick 5. All the Mendoza, all the Dante Moore talks are out at the door. We're picking number 5, Paul. You're on the clock with the 5th pick in the draft. We're gonna this will change from week to week, but our first pick of 2026 at pick number 5. Who are the New York Giants selecting with that pick?
Yeah, I don't want to top out and say with the 5th pick, it's a little harder to pick. I have about 6 or 7 names that I wrote down, but for this particular day, with the 5th pick of the 2026 NFL Draft, the New York Football Giants select, and I'm saying it because I think you got to make sure that your franchise quarterback is going to stand up and be held up. I'm picking either Francis Mauigoa or Spencer Fano as my number 5 pick.
For our audience out there, Paul and I live in Maryland, who don't know where we are. I live in Maryland. Paul is in New Jersey. We're best of friends. We call each other brothers. When we do our agenda, there was an exception tonight. Most of our agenda is blind. We don't ask each other what our picks are. With the exception of the ranking of the 5 good things, we don't know what anyone else had. I swear to you, I did not look at Paul's sheet. I thought I was going to be unique, and that's why I let Paul go first. But he stole my pick. And great minds think alike. And nobody except Paul Rosen and Kenny Kirkpatrick have this guy at number 5. And that's Francis Mauigoa out of University of Miami, my favorite college team. I watched him go up against Arwell Reese, who arguably the best defensive player in this upcoming draft and could be as high as number 3 in this draft. Watch Francis Mauigoa, what he did against Ohio State. Right tackle. Watch Francis Mauigoa, what he's going to do against Ole Miss. He's a 2-level tackle. He'll go get to the 2nd level. When you ask me who he reminds me of, Penei Sewell. Sign me up. Protect Jackson Dart at all costs. Move Jermaine Illuminor to guard. Offensive line's got its starting 5 for 2026. Great minds think alike, Paul. I'm going that guy, or I'm going Francis Mauigoa or Fano the tackle out of Utah as well. And great minds think alike. We gotta go that route. And great that we had the same thoughts there. I love it.
Yeah.
Keith saying with the fifth pick, the Giants trade for Robert Salah, defensive coordinator of the San Francisco 49ers. That's funny. But let's get some final thoughts in, Paul. We went a little over, but it was a fun-filled show. Lots to talk about, and there's going to be lots to talk about in the upcoming weeks leading into the off season now with the head coach and the draft right around the corner. In 4 months, we'll have the draft.
We're not in the playoffs. We're certainly not Super Bowl contenders even next year. But you know what? This franchise has a lot going for them. It was a great show tonight, Kenny. Thank you, everybody. First show of 2026. Appreciate everyone tuning in tonight. We love you guys. We do this for you. I say it week after week. And Kenny, my brother, great minds, like you say. It was a fascinating show. Listen, this off season might be one of the most fascinating since probably the early 2000s with Tom Coughlin's hire and Eli Manning getting traded for the Giants. So it's exciting. We're looking forward to bigger and better things. We can't be any worse. So I'm excited for the chance to make this team a great organization once again. So let's go.
Very excited at, on what the future holds. There's a coach out there, John Harbaugh, to go get. And, with the fifth pick, you're going to get somebody good. Kurt, I give you credit. You say it all the time. You got a chance to get the best offensive tackle or the third best wide receiver. You go get the best offensive tackle. So at pick 5, we're going to be primed to pick the best at a position, best ranked player at a position, and the best ranked player on the Giants board at that position at pick 5. So I got all the faith that Joe Schoen will get it right. He's been great in drafts. I want to thank our audience, our old friends, our Giant friends. If you're fans of another team, I want to thank our new faces that we saw tonight. And I see Karen saying, "Go Giants! Good things are coming. Go Big Blue!" Thank you for hanging out with us. If you haven't, we're small show compared to these other big podcasters. We love doing, like Paul said, we love doing what we're doing. We're not looking in it for the money. We look at it to hang out with you all and talk what we love, and that's Giants football. If you're on YouTube, Facebook, give us a like if you haven't. Subscribe to the channel. Tell your friends and family about us if you like what you're hearing, and give us some thoughts in the comments and what you'd like to see us do more of, and we'll make sure we get it to you each and every week. But off season's here. Been a rough 2025. Here's to 2026, everybody. Little cheers and go Giants, and we'll see everybody next week for another episode.